Hello and welcome, everyone, to episode 71 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host, Tyler, and it would not be Video Game Club without Galerius' best friend, Austin.
Hello.
Hello, as well as the mythology lore goddess herself, Mox.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say, I want to be Galerius' friend.
No, he's mine.
All right, that's fine. He's the best.
Mox, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. What have you been playing besides The Forgotten City? Anything?
Well, Tears of the Kingdom.
Totka, Legend of Zelda?
Yes, I loved how when the game first released and I would Google TOTK and then something, Google would suggest, do you mean York? And then by the end of the week, Google did not suggest that to me anymore.
Nice. How, without spoiling the game, how far are you, roughly?
I got all my divine beasts, from Breath of the Wild. I'm spoiling, I guess I'm spoiling Breath of the Wild.
Wow, but you did
I'm right
all
before
of them?
the boss.
Holy cow. Okay, you're way farther than me. Oh
Well,
my
I haven't
gosh.
done all there's so much like non-storyline side content. I like the storyline, so I did all the storyline stuff. But there's so much that's just not that is it's immense. I don't know if I can do it all.
I think Austin, whenever I mentioned to him Breath of the Wild, I was going to do like a new playthrough of it. He described that as being exhausting.
I got exhausted for you.
Yeah, Austin got exhausted for me. Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I was going to do like 100 because I was going to do 100% run.
Why? No. Watch a speed run. Watch a speed run.
No. But I think Tears of the Kingdom, Austin, you feel similar that it might be considered exhausting to
like I'm still pretty early on. Like I just got my first piece of the map of Hyrule. And it's daunting how much game there is here. And a lot of it is like it's new, but a lot of it's like feels the same. So I'm like, I feel like I'm replaying Breath of the Wild, even though it's like new stuff. And so it's like, I every time I'm like, I should play some of that today. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm going to do something else. I'll work on that tomorrow.
I feel that in my soul. Like once you start, like it's easy to follow the chains of things you have to do. But to imagine doing anything outside of that, I don't even feel like beating the final boss at this point.
Oh. Anything else besides Tears of the Kingdom, Mox?
I was getting back into Paranormasight. I had started it, and it was horrifyingly scary. So then I made my friends play it, and I sat on the couch. And then we got through a lot of the scary stuff. And all of the Steam reviews are like, it really, once you get through the scary stuff, it's just like an investigative game, visual novel. So calm down. So I'm hoping I'm at that point. But there have been quite a few jump scares, even in the quote unquote not scary part. But I do still recommend it. It is a very interesting game.
Nice. Austin, what have you been playing besides Tears of the Kingdom and Forgotten City? Anything?
So I've been on parental leave since our last episode. So I've been playing a lot whenever my son is asleep. I played through Resident Evil 7, Village, 2 Remake, 3 Remake. I'm working on 4 Remake right now. I finished the final season of Knockout City, and that's they're doing 2 weeks of like a going away party. They put out a vinyl like right at the end of season 9.
It's made for you.
I know, and it's shipping now, which tells me like they started the process to press this like months ago before they realized that they were going to shut down, and that's depressing. Yeah. I did the Fall Guys Fame Pass one. That they're doing Fame Passes instead of season passes now. I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, the DLC for that, and I started Nier Replicant and Stray.
Oh my goodness!
Dang,
yeah, I've been playing some stuff.
Are you a serial player or a parallel player?
I do some parallel play, and I frequently do that. This past month, I've been kind of just focusing one thing down at a time, mostly. Sometimes I'll work on a couple of things, but yeah. I've been kind of doing serial play this month.
Yeah, nice.
Unlike Tyler, who's a perpetual parallel player.
Damn right, that's me. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom, of course. I have done one of the dungeons, I'll say, and I've been distracted by doing a bunch of other stuff. One of my favorite little side activities are the signs, little signs that you have to help with. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
In what area?
All of them. I love all the little signs. They're all over the map. Mox, you've done 0 signs. You're
I don't
kidding.
know what you're talking about.
There's a guy holding up a sign and he needs
help.
help.
Oh, yes. I see. Yeah, repairing them. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah, those are
I
fun.
get mad if it falls and he's like, perfect. And then it looks bad when he
Yeah.
I get very upset. You can't undo it.
That's true. I've been playing Fall Guys with Austin. We completed the Fame Pass, which was exciting. Like, I just completed it. And I am still playing Near Replicant here and there. I've been doing a lot of fishing in Near Replicant. I'm on the rainbow trout now. If you know, you know. I did sardines, pufferfish. Now I'm on the rainbow trout. And I've also been dipping my toe into a little Ghost of Tsushima here and there. And lastly, I started playing. I don't think I'm going to play it right now. I think I'm going to suggest it for Video Game Club. But I started just to check it out, Planet of Lana, which is like side scroller, sort of in the spirit of like Inside or the other game they did, Limbo. Kind of like that
it's from
style.
the same developer, is that?
No, not the same dev.
Oh, okay.
No,
Just
but like
similar
that style.
style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were on a little break. But we're back. We took a little breather. Played a lot of Forgotten City and a lot of other games. This is Video Game Club, though. It's not it's a regular, usually every 2 weeks thing where we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. And if you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find it on YouTube, all major podcast services. And if you appreciate what you're hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, commenting, all those things. And if you want to nominate something, please join the Discord and throw it in the Video Game Club nominations channel. The nominations for this episode were suggested by viewers and listeners like you, and they were The Forgotten City, The Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap, and Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. So how it worked, how we do this is there's a lot of nominations, and we all kind of just picked one that we wanted from the list of user nominations or viewer nominations. And Mox, I think you suggested Forgotten City.
Yes.
And it won, and we played it. And I think everyone was quite pleased that we played this game. The Forgotten City, it's a mystery first-person adventure game. It was originally a Skyrim mod developed by Modern Storyteller. There is almost nothing about the dev and publisher of this game, so I had to do some research. So it started in 2012 by Nick Pierce, who's based out of Australia. Because the mod came out in like 2015, I think. Mm. The mod had over 4 million downloads, and it was the first mod to win a National Writers Guild Award.
What?
Yep. And after the success of the mod, Nick hired a small team to the studio. It is published by Dear Villagers. They're based in southern France. There was also not much on them. They published a lot of small like indie titles like Scourgebringer, Recompile, Hover, and many others. The game came out, Forgotten City, July 28th, 2021. Came later to Switch and Stadia. The original mod released October 4th, 2015.
Wow.
Yeah. And there are like some story differences and stuff. No one here has played the mod, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I should have done that. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. So 2021, we had the Switch OLED, the Analog Pocket, the Evercade VS, and of course, I always mention it because I'm so upset about it, but the Steam Deck and the Playdate were supposed to launch in 2021, but they did not. Games that came out, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Resident Evil Village, Returnal, Skyward Sword HD, Far Cry 6, plus many more, including a bunch that we've played for Video Game Club.
30 games that we've played for Video Game Club.
Here we go. Death's Door, Metroid Dread, Inscription, Grow, Song of the Evertree, Scarlet Nexus, and Before Your Eyes. The last game we played was a 2021 game as well.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We played a lot from 2021.
Dude, just now, literally just now, somebody on my friends list just launched Scourgebringer as you were talking about it.
You're kidding.
No joke.
I think that game wasn't a bundle or something. Pretty sure.
No, they heard you and said, "Oh, I forgot about that game."
They're listening right now. So the Forgotten City reviewed very positively. 8s and 9s. People really like the story, the writing, the setting, the puzzles. The only cons that I saw were that people thought it took a while to kind of get going as far as story goes, and there's a few little janky moments with, like, if you go to talk to someone, they do this weird, like, turnaround thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you guys have noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, people really love this game. It won several BAFTA awards, I think. And
The game or the original mod?
The game.
Wow.
These are awards about the game, not the mod. Yep.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm. All right. It is time to discuss, starting with the gameplay. Now, before we start, this game even has like a spoiler warning on like the title screen or whatever about sharing the game and how like anything past the specific moment could be kind of spoilery. So we'll try to keep all the discussion points as spoiler free as possible.
What? Really?
Until we get to the story piece. Then we'll throw on the spoilers tag, and then we'll just go ham on the whole thing.
I was going to say that even I feel like it would be worth it to put on the spoiler tag now, because some of the things we'll talk about are spoilery.
Save it for the story.
Ugh. I mean, I can't talk about certain things in the gameplay that are spoilers.
Well, okay, all right. Should we start spoilers now?
Yeah,
I think so, because I personally wouldn't want anybody to listen to this without playing it if they were going to. Like, I would think the gameplay would be spoilery. Just like you said, it's in the start of the game. Like,
we'll do double secret spoilers for story.
All right, sounds good. All right, so it's a first-person game, like I mentioned before. It has a Skyrim-like feel to it, as far as control.
It has an Oblivion-like feel.
I also think it's more Oblivion.
Yeah. When you told me it was a Skyrim mod, I was like, I could have sworn this was an Oblivion.
Mm-hmm. Me too. What was one of the big things that was going to be spoilery, Mox? The looping mechanic?
Well, yeah. But I was going to say, my favorite gameplay moment was when you talk to Galerius, who is like your node for figuring out the game. And you don't have to I played so many loop games where you have to do the same thing. Majora's Mask. Oh my gosh. The amount of loop things you have to do 2 times. And then now it's on the second loop. I have to do it 3 times. And then 6 times.
I got depressed thinking about, like, I got very exhausted. I was like, oh my God, every time I loop this, I'm going to have to go do all the things again. And Galerius just comes to me too. And you get these prompts of like, hey man, go do all the things for me. And he's like, what? What's going to happen? Okay. We got to talk about this after, but I'm going right now. Thank you, Galerius. You truly are the best character in this game.
There's no competition.
No.
Like when that happened the first time in the little prompts, it had, it's like grayed out when you said it already. And I'm like, great. Every single conversation I have is now grayed out and I have to remember what the right thing to say is.
Yeah.
You walk up to him and he's like, hey, who are you? I haven't seen you yet. And you could be like, hey, you don't remember me. I remember you. Here's what I need you to do. And he's like, he's on it. And you never have to do it a second time, a third time. Best gameplay mechanic ever. I've never encountered a loop game with that in it.
It would have been.
On top of that, all your items come back with you.
Yeah, They do.
So you don't have to be like, okay, well, I got to reacquire the item, but without breaking the rule.
How do I do that?
Manage to go do the Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, so I want this. Or like, oh, I need so much gold. Let me just steal it.
Yeah, I'll just break the law. So we'll do a loop.
And I did like that too. Now that you mention it, that you keep your stuff because I didn't really want to steal anything, and you don't have to because with the loop repeating and you keeping your stuff, you can go get the like singular cache of gold every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When I had to spend 1,000, I was like, oh, I got it. I'll just loop. Perfect.
Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true. So you're in this game. You are exploring this forgotten city, and you're talking to a lot of people. And like Mox and Austin already mentioned, Galerius is just super helpful because you don't have to repeat a bunch of stuff. You don't have to redo stuff with this looping mechanic. You can just tell him to do it, which is really great.
Well, it's even better because it's time based.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to beat certain aspects. Like the loop is plotted along time.
Yeah.
So having him do it means you can then go do other things that you couldn't otherwise do because you'd have to spend time doing the things that he does.
It's true. And on top of that, the game even has like a quick save, quick load on top of it.
That's true.
Which is really nice to use if you need to.
And it actually, I played it on my PlayStation. It loaded quickly. I was so stunned. Like, I was like, I don't want to save here and redo the thing because it'll take 30 seconds to a minute to load every time. But it doesn't. It will take
used to
a
playing
couple
games
seconds.
Switch.
Yeah, that's a Switch PTSD.
Gosh.
Not every game's like Ni no Kuni's, Mox, we promise.
Oh, don't remind me.
The thing, I will say this about like the gameplay and just, I guess it's more like controls, but the jumping was kind of weak. And sometimes
there's the Oblivion.
You would get caught, and stuff like that, Should we talk about the item that you find that makes traversal a bit easier and unlocks new areas? Okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, the tag's on, but eventually you find a bow, and that bow gets a special power that you can turn things to gold, and you can turn like vines to gold, and use them to climb around and go to access different places that you couldn't before. And that, to me, is when the game really opened up.
Yeah, if you're watching, you were like, I tried this and I couldn't get into it, and you didn't get that bow.
Go back.
Go back. Go get the bow.
And then see how you feel.
Yeah, because that's where the game really starts.
Oh, yeah. Definitely agree. Anything else we should talk about gameplay-wise?
The other stuff is spoilers. So,
spoilers. Super spoilery? Okay. How about them visuals? You guys like Oblivion?
Yes. And so I played this game with my sister the first time, and she and I are used to the Nancy Drew, her interactive games, which have their own little internal engine. And like the first, I don't know, there's like 30 something games. The first like 20 are in a certain engine, and then the latter dozen are in a different engine. And all of the characters in every engine look bad, but it is like, oh gosh, that character looks horrible. I love it. And so when you first encounter the Karen at the beginning of the game, when she turns around like all those stupid characters do, and her hair doesn't move, nor does her hoodie.
And her eyes.
Yes, I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm transported back, Oblivion, back to Nancy Drew. I can't get enough of it. I will never hate it. But
those games did look like outside of the characters, the environments looked really pretty, I think. Especially Skyrim, like you can look off in the distance and it looks nice.
I thought this one did too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so take the good with the bad, I think.
Even like
some
of the animations and like the way conversations play out reminded me of Oblivion, but like the characters do look a lot better.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Like if you really go back to Oblivion,
you're right.
That's true. That's true.
Let's say those are the Skyrim upgrades.
Yeah. Like they don't look great, but they do look better than that.
But the environment is pretty.
Yes, a lot of it. There are a lot of parts of it that I was like, wow, I really like this.
The water is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you go to different places without spoiling it. And each place, like area, has a different theme, and it is very unique, and I liked it.
Every time I found a new area, I just got so excited. I was like, oh, a loading screen.
Oh, yeah.
I know, right?
New thing.
What could this be? Yeah.
They'd give me an achievement like, oh, look, you found the place. Good job.
The achievements were so... every single time I got one, I was like, I got so excited. They all had cool names, and they were at perfect moments. This was like A+ achievement naming and like coordinating.
Yeah, totally agree. Moving on to the audio. So the soundtrack was composed by Michael Allen for the full game. The mod soundtrack was done by Trent Moriarty. I gave both a listen. They're both really good. I did really like the soundtrack in this game. I thought it was very calm and relaxing. Reminded me a lot of, Skyrim Oblivion, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. But it was really nice. Like, just like very peaceful, very chill.
Well, except when it was like tense.
Yeah.
Well, and after oh my God, why can't I remember what it says? The sins of the many.
Yeah.
And then that music I do not like that music.
Also reminded me of that YouTube channel you linked me one time, that video stream.
Dude, I was going to bring it up if you didn't.
Go ahead.
there's it's some old video series of like trying to teach English, but it's all just like really bizarre moments, and everything's like said really outlandishly, and somebody, like, the dialogue's very odd and stilted, and so somebody was like, this reminds me of Oblivion dialogue. So they put like an Oblivion interface over it and then have music going over it, and they have a 24-hour live stream of this, and like they change the music to fit each scenario. So like if he gets somebody mad and they start like attacking him, they change it to the battle music and stuff like that. It's just it. And they have loading screens between each one that they like custom made. It's just so wonderful.
So good. If this soundtrack got pressed on vinyl, would you buy it, Austin?
I can't remember any of the music from this game. All.
It's nice, but
as
it's
soon
not
as you
memorable.
said, I was trying to think about it, and I was like, all I can picture is Oblivion music. I'm like, no, that's not in this game. That's Oblivion. I don't know any of the music in this game. Like, I couldn't hum you a tune at all. I'd have to go back and listen.
But it was calm. I'm telling you.
It was not obtrusive. At the very least, I can tell you that.
That is true. Moving on to
you didn't ask me if I
sorry.
would listen to it.
Sorry, Mox. Sorry.
And I would say
I forgot.
No, because it is Oblivion music, and I'm mad at Jeremy Soule. So no, I can't listen to this music. I'm too mad at Jeremy Soule.
Didn't your Northerner ship?
No. I've had no updates, I think, since like 2015. Is that what it was, Austin? I can't even remember the last time.
It's been several years. It's never coming. He also got Me Too'd.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that also stopped his work. Assuming he was ever going to work on it again.
I know, right? I have to say, I didn't like listen to his TES soundtracks. I do listen to his Guild Wars 1 soundtrack.
What?
What do you mean?
That is bizarre. The Elder Scrolls soundtracks are pretty top tier. Skyrim.
No.
Morrowind.
I do think the TES soundtracks are a lot more ambient.
They are.
The Guild Wars are not. They are very present, and I really enjoy that. Granted, I played, thousands of hours of Guild Wars 1.
Dang. Had no idea. What about Guild Wars 2? I know a little tangent, but I'm just curious.
I played, I don't know, dozens of hours of Guild Wars 2. It was not as good as Guild Wars 1. Well, this is not a Guild Wars stream, so
no.
I can't. Don't let me get on my soapbox.
Okay, fine. Okay. Moving on to controls and interface. I thought they were very mediocre. That's how I would describe them.
I played it again on my PlayStation, and like circle was jump, and L2 was run.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I pressed down on a button to try to do something, or trying to get out my weapon, and you have to press like left. I was on the D-pad. Not great.
Yeah, I also getting into like the quest menu was also a little confusing.
Triangle.
Yeah, jumping was terrible. Austin, what'd you think of the controls?
I don't know what y'all are smoking. Controls are great.
What?
What'd you play on?
So I played on PC with an Xbox controller, but so I have. I'll tell you my experience with Oblivion. In that game, you jump with Y.
Yeah, you do.
Which is very abnormal. However, as soon as I, once I delve that deep into a game and get used to the controls, like, that just becomes the controls in my mind. So, like, after I played this, I was playing other games and trying to run with left trigger, because that's just how I was running, and I was using that all the time in this game. So, it wasn't like a normal control scheme, but it was intuitive enough that I could, like, some games I'll play through to the very end, and it's like the final hour, I still haven't gotten used to how to bring up a menu or something like that. I didn't have that problem with this one, so I thought it worked fine. One thing that kind of ticked me off was, if you were trying to zip line or something like that, you had to really like get your reticle right on the zip line and be properly positioned.
It's true.
And so that was kind of annoying, but
this game doesn't have that many mechanics in it to where the control scheme needed to be that different, right?
No.
I don't know what to tell you. I didn't have a bad time with it.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. Well,
I thought
it was too weird.
I know you didn't like the jumping, but like the vaulting, I thought worked really well.
That's funny. I hated that.
Initially I was like, what the heck? And then I finally realized what it was, and I was like, oh, I get how this works. And then I liked it. But climbing down things was kind of frustrating.
Awkward, yeah.
Climbing up was fine. Sorry, I interrupted you, Mox.
No, that's it. We said everything.
Okay, yeah.
What about the menus?
Menus were good. The one thing I didn't like in the menus was, like, if I was looking at quests, I wanted to push A to track a quest, and it was like, you'd push A to select the quest, but you had to push a different button
X
to track the quest.
Yeah.
Which was, I thought that was kind of dumb, but I didn't run into that many issues around it.
Yeah, that, and then the Moxie already kind of talked about this, that sometimes I would be having conversations with people and they would be grayed out, but the dialogue tree wasn't fully finished. And that, I felt like there may have been a better way to tell that with the interface, that, I need to hit this gray option, and then I need to hit this other gray option, especially if you were trying to get the different endings. That was a little not cool. Mox,
Paranormal site does it great. They put a ginormous check mark next to a option when you finished every possible branching path with it.
Oh, when it's completely exhausted? That's good.
Now, the game is very meta, and I have not encountered, so like it tries to trick you. Yep. I have not encountered that is a lie, but I'm a bit suspicious.
Moving on to performance. So I also played on PC like Austin. I was visiting my parents because my brother graduated high school, and I tried to play on Steam Deck, and oh boy, it was not great on Steam Deck. I did play it. I put it on really low settings, and it worked. It was fine, but it was nice to come back home and finish it on my PC. And that's nothing against the game, really. Like, maybe it's Steam Deck and the hardware and everything, but it was just not. I would not. If you only have a Steam Deck, I would not recommend getting this on Steam Deck. If you can get it on something else, I would recommend doing that instead. Mox, how was it on PS5?
It was excellent. I played it with my sister, which meant I streamed it to a YouTube channel. It worked perfectly. No issues. And again, I was expecting the loading screens to be so much longer, and they weren't. It was beautiful.
Austin, your experience, did you only play on PC, or?
I mainly played on PC. I played a very small piece on Steam Deck. And I agree, the main city area, very bad, not good performance, not very bad, but it was not good performance on Steam Deck. As soon as I loaded into a different area where it was like you hit a loading screen, you were somewhere else, performance just went through the roof. Yep. So I think it's an optimization issue with the city, where it's like everything's loaded all the time because there's because of the things that are happening. Yeah. And happening in parallel that actually need to be going.
Well, you can an area collapses every loop. Like, you can hear it and feel it regardless of where you are when it happens. So I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right. Super spoilery story discussion. But before we start, so first of all, just a warning. Again, if you want to play this game,
don't listen anymore.
Yeah, this game is all story. Like, that's why you're playing this game. You're not playing it because the mechanics are really fun, or that the jumping is really good, or that the UI is wonderful. You're playing it for the story. So hop off if you do intend to play this.
I want to point out that the Forgotten City wiki, it has like 1,000 warnings saying, don't read this if you don't want to be spoiled. But for the big ending, the good ending, it is completely blank. It doesn't say anything. I love it.
That's funny. But before we jump into the story, I am curious, Mox, do you have a least favorite character?
Ugh, I have to pull up their names. Yeah, the guy who tries to take the bow from you.
Oh, like the shopkeeper
Decius.
guy?
Decius, yes. I hate that guy.
Yeah, he was kind of terrible.
He also has an annoying nasally voice, and I can hear him like he's in the forum, the shops, and I could hear some reason anytime he speaks, I can hear him from a mile away. He's awful.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. Austin, least favorite?
Him, Malleolus's guard. Demetrius?
Something like that.
His name?
I forget their names.
The lady with the wine, who, what's her name?
The bartender?
Aurelia?
Is that the bartender?
Yeah, I think her name's Aurelia.
Yeah, I hate the bartender.
She was awful too.
I shot her every time to do the looping mechanic. Austin witnessed it.
I never, I didn't hurt anybody to start a loop. I always found like something ended my loop naturally.
Dude, well, okay.
Wow.
Let me just talk about something here real quick. And at the time, I was like, that was weird. And then when I reached the ending, I was like, wow, that's consistent. So the first time that the archer came in, it was like, I'm going to go kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up luring him into the
assassin you're talking about?
Yeah. So I picked the person with the gun, and I was like, I loved that I had an option to be like, well, I have a gun. But I didn't do that. So I lured him into the spot that crumbles, and I took his bow. And then I went to talk to the person who told me about him, and I was like, hey, he's been taken care of. And she was like, well, if you knew it was going to crumble, isn't that kind of murder? And and it gave me the chance to answer, and I was like, yeah, I guess it is, kind of. And immediately it was the sins of the one shall affect the many. I was like, oh no.
That's funny.
So the whole idea of intent
well, let's talk about the story.
Plays into it. Anyways, yes, keep going.
Go for it,
Are we
Mox.
doing the spoilers?
Yeah,
is the spoiler on?
Oh, it's on. It's been on. Go for it.
Well, okay, like this is the big the story spoiler, so don't listen anymore if you want to play this game at all. But the point of it is that you the player fall into this city that was created, I don't know, thousands and thousands of years ago.
2000.
I
think they say that.
I think they said 2000.
But isn't that that's when the Roman part was made, not the parts that are underneath that?
Which is part of the whole story, yeah.
Yes,
sure.
Sorry, you get transported to 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
The cities existed before then. Yeah,
ostensibly. Yeah. And you're told that this is a city where no one can sin, and if you sin, everybody dies. And so it's like they're trapped in this purgatory kind of thing.
That is the golden rule.
I have background in Latin, and as soon as the first lady that we talk to, her name is Karen, I'm like, Caron.
Right.
I'm like, I know this, and so I feel bad because I knew what the story would be, but then it still managed to surprise me. But anyway, this like land where nobody can sin, and so, but everybody's doing bad stuff anyway. So you're like, just like Austin said, you're like, what are the rules though? Because yeah, you cause that guy to die, but that doesn't cause a loop unless like apparently you tell them, oh, I guess you're right. I did not experience that, so that is very funny. But anyway, so you're like trying to figure out what you're doing there because you're told, hey, someone went in front of you, Al, and then you find Al having hung himself, and you're like, okay, I guess I got to figure out this mystery. You like talk to everybody there. Everybody has ulterior motives. You're trying to stop the bad thing that's happening, and then you can't stop it, and then you're transported into a loop, and you have to go and find what's his name, Sentius, who like is the initiator of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
You figure out things along the way. I really don't want to spoil the big spoiler. Should we spoil it?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
we could save that for like the last bit of the story discussion if we want.
Okay, then I'll wait to talk about it.
He's talking about the endings.
Yes,
yeah,
the big one. In terms of spoiler territory, I really liked all of the different characters, like things that you fix that then you tell Galerius to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really enjoyed saving Fabia from the collapsing thing because she's friends with Georgius, and then Georgius is like happy that they're friends and like working together. That was very cute to me that they were friends like that. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed, what's her name? The lady who was poisoned.
Yeah.
Saving
Ilyana?
Something like that. Gosh, I can't remember all of their names. In any case, like, so you have to, but the guy, Decius, is selling the poison at a huge markup, and it's like, it feels impossible to get the amount of money that you can get, but then because you can loop it, you can just go and collect money over and over again and buy it. And then she is so thankful that you saved her, as well as the person who, like, ministers her and saves her. I really enjoyed, like, the genuineness of that.
Oh, she was not very thankful to me when I saved her, because she was like, I was trying to kill myself.
Yeah.
And now I have to go back to
regular life that I hate.
Servitude.
Yep.
But
once you like actually free her as well, then she's pretty happy.
Then she's happy.
Like the first time I saved her, she was just like, "Man, I really wish you hadn't done that."
I guess I meant the lady who was ministering to her. She was very thankful.
Yeah.
I appreciate her.
Lucretia.
Yes. What did you guys think about the lady who locked herself in the space and that whole encounter?
Oh, I forgot about her. Yeah.
That was horrifying with the peeled things and
So all of the gold statues around and how there's people in them, and she peels the gold back and she's doing all these experiments. That lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so the idea is that like these people have been turned to gold because they sinned, and then this girl's friend or girlfriend, basically lover, got turned to gold, and so this woman was like experimenting on other gold statues, trying to like, because she could hear them whispering to her, so she's like, there's got to be someone underneath the gold, like they're still alive, they're not dead.
Yeah.
And so she's like taking off the gold that's outside of them. Well, that tortures them. They don't like that.
They thank you when you turn them back to gold.
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you.
That was like, I hated that area. It was very scary. That's after you get the gold bow. That was like the part that they're like, if you don't like spooky things, we can just skip this whole sequence. And I should have said, I don't like spooky things.
Oh, so you did. You were like, yes, give me the spooks.
Well, I don't want to skip any part.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anyway, that part was scary. But ultimately, you have to find these 4 panels of this obelisk at the locked temple at the peak of this town. And to do so, you have to
get the good ending.
Yes, you have to go underneath the town, which is like Roman themed. And then immediately underneath the town is like a Greek themed town.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath that, oh gosh, I already forgot all the different
Egyptian.
layers.
It's Egyptian.
And then Sumerian.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you have to keep... Oh, go ahead.
No, one thing I do want to talk about is once you get to... So you're getting these like plaques. And once you get the Egyptian one, there's another one that you get, the Sumerian one, which they call the mystery one because they don't really know what it is because it's so far back in time. But what I really like is convincing that character...
Yes.
About how... this doesn't take away from his religion, because he's starting to put together like that the Greeks stole stuff from the Egyptians and the Romans stole stuff from the Greeks, and he basically hates them for that. But then once he realizes that the Egyptians stole from the Sumerians, if
this exists, then my whole life is a lie.
Yeah,
and everything that I've worshipped up till now.
But in reality, they've all been worshiping the same God. They just have different names for them, right? And you have to convince them. I think
there's different approaches on how to convince him, because for me, instead of doing that, I was like, that doesn't, like, the fact that you lived the way that you did doesn't.
Oh yeah, you can make the argument that like maybe you should just be a good person, sort of situation. Yeah.
The whole idea. Yeah. Anyways, I very much enjoyed that conversation.
There were a couple of those where you're trying to convince someone not to like do something, or not to harm you, or not to like end the loop, and you can get an achievement for like having all of the conversations. I really enjoyed that mechanic that you have to have like this battle of wits, not only with that guy, like you said, convincing him, and then there's someone else to convince not to jump, and then another person to convince like not to, I forget, turn someone in, or I forget, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the big reveal, after you assemble all of those plaques, you can enter the temple at the top, and you have to like identify what each of the
areas,
the names of the god that you're talking to. And it is then that you kind of put it together. Okay, so the god in charge, because they're all talking about like I can't think of who the god in charge would be that would put us through this hell. And then you get to it, and it is the god, the underworld god, Pluto
or Hades,
or
Osiris, or Nergal,
yes. And you go to this like futuristic spaceship.
Yep.
I was stunned. I did not get what was happening.
Assassin's Creed, baby.
It was so weird.
Assassin's Creed, but good.
Yeah.
And then you have two ways to save the universe. One, you do a battle of wits with Pluto, Nergal, Hades, whatever.
And it's a long one.
Yeah.
You have to get everything just right.
I really enjoyed it. I did that way. I ultimately, my sister had pulled up like the correct answers, and I would say to her, "I'm leaning towards this answer, and this is why." And then she would argue back with me saying, well, what about this? And then I would say, oh, you're right. And then I would pick the answer that was the correct answer. I enjoyed doing it that way because there was not as much failure, because you have to start from the beginning when you do that. And I was not taking notes. But also then it's like between me and my sister, we were talking about like philosophy. It was very fun. That's the one way. And then you basically convince Pluto, like in doing this, he has like set up an unwinnable experiment. And he's like discounting the goodness of people by saying that people just can't sin. And then the other way is if you
get that
kill
crown,
his mortal, wife who gave up her godliness, who is like Persephone, whatever, Proserpina, I forgot what it was in the other, Isis, and take her crown and then be like, hey, I have the crown. What do you make of that? And I didn't do that ending, so I don't know what that looks like.
It's wonderful. It's so brutal. Well, she even tells you, like, if you fail the conversation, she's like, shoot me and take my crown. So you go grab it. He gets furious, sends everybody after you. You do your time loop. You come back in. Immediately, you're just like, hey, look at this crown. He's like, wait.
Yeah.
What is that? Because my wife is right here and she's wearing her crown, and you just lay it out. Stop doing this, or I'm going to shoot her over and over and over again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then he's like, fine, we'll stop.
He gets very mad, but he's in an unwinnable position, so he leaves.
And that,
I have to say, the other way, the better way is the way I did it, by cheating. Because he's
I just didn't want to do that I tried to do it, but I didn't want to use a guide to do it.
Yeah.
I got lucky with my sister because he's very like beneficent about it. He's like apologetic. I liked that so much better. Yeah. But anyway, what happens after? It's like that's the best thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Before we get there, because you do get to chat with him about like how the golden rule works and like its origin and all that. And so I went to ask him. I was like, hey, these people, like this guy, he's been withholding medicine that somebody needs to live. And he was like, yeah, but to him, he would expect somebody to do the same if he was dying and needed that medicine. He would expect somebody to do that. So that is the golden, like he was following the golden rule. And other people who were doing things that seemed like crimes that should be punished, like they were operating still within the golden rule under their intent.
Right.
Which was super interesting. And so that's where I was like, oh, that's why when I admitted that, I guess that's kind of murder. That's what triggered it. So,
because intent and how you think about things matter.
So it was cool to get more details on how everything worked and to see that was consistently enforced within the game.
Before we get to the canon ending, there are 3 other endings. One, where you you shoot
Sentius, who is the guy who like initiates the time loop, and in so doing, you create a paradox.
Yep,
which ends it.
One, and then the second one, you save Sentius's daughter, right?
Scintilla,
and then you two. Go ahead. She kills him.
Well, but she has been like imprisoned by her dad, who's Sentius, who is the guy, and he basically is. We get to ask him like, "Why are you doing all of this? Why is the loop?" And he's like, "I get to have a nice day.
Yeah, he loves his life
every day, and I get to be in charge." why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah.
Which is like, ugh, the worst.
And then you can gather as many friends as you can. That's another ending.
The first ending is very bad because she doesn't unlock the cistern.
Yeah.
And that means when you jump forward in time, you can't escape. So you are trapped there forever. All the other ones you get to leave, which is nice.
Yeah. And one of them you get to try and save some people, right?
Yes.
Right.
But the canon ending is the good one.
Yes.
Go for the canon ending.
Go ahead, Mox.
Oh, it's just so sweet. So you like convince Hades, Pluto, whatever, not to do it anymore. And he's like, all right, that's fine. I release these people. And then they get to join you in the modern world.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last scene is like an epilogue where you're in a museum, which is showing off all of the artifacts.
Which is so cool.
Of the city it was. I was just like, who thought of this? This is such a great ending.
That was super lovely.
And you get to catch up on everyone's lives, like what they're doing now.
This is a year later. It's like, what have you been up to?
Yeah.
And like everybody is like doing so well. And they all, like are in their modern world being like, wow, I didn't know that this was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now this is what I'm doing. I changed my name. And, the
worst people are all dead.
Yep.
They're all gone. And the good people are together. And they're like, there's like a gay couple. And they were the people who were, at odds in the ancient world. But then they're like,
it was so
accepting.
nice.
I know.
Because, one was harassing the other for being gay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, now you're in a oh, God, yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah.
I cried.
Did you talk to the shopkeeper there?
What do
Oh
you
my
mean?
gosh, yeah. The guy that you hate.
The shopkeeper was like one of the few really dreadful people who got to come
Decius.
forward. Yeah. Did you talk to him?
I talked to everybody.
You can.
Okay.
So you told him what to
Give him
invest in.
stock tips.
You can give him the wrong info.
Didn't. I did. I did not. We did. Me and my sister decided we did not want him to succeed.
Nice.
Also, if you
you didn't give him tips at all.
Why would you?
Oh my gosh,
awful.
Austin, go ahead.
Because so if you talk to him, like if you follow the right tree of dialogue, he demands that you give him stock tips, and you're like, no, I'm not going to help you. And he's like, come on, you got to help me.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some stock tips. And you only get the option to give him
terrible.
They're all terrible. It's like, oh, print media is going to make a big comeback, or DVD rentals. And I don't remember what the third one was.
Yeah, it's so great.
But it was something similarly awful.
That's the best.
And Aurelia, the bartender, she fell for some Nigerian prince scam.
Yep.
Oh, geez. Just everything. Oh, lots of really great
What goes around.
writing and little lines.
Oh, yeah.
And I enjoyed that at the end is, before the end is Galerius and Equitia, who are together and amazing.
Yeah.
But then at the very end is like Persephone being like, thanks for doing that. Thanks for bringing us all together. It was like,
yeah,
so sweet.
It's just so lovely. It really was. Like the ending was just worth it, worth all of the effort. Okay, so let's get into our personal takes. We're gonna leave the spoiler tag on so we can just talk about, say the things. Let's start with you, Mox. Pros, cons.
I love this game. I really enjoy like Roman, Latin themed kind of things, and this is just on steroids. Everything is Latin, Roman, and Greek, and like they even have like 4 statues around that are the people who are being tortured in the underworld, like Tantalus. Just the best. It is like such a cute game, investigative game with a Oblivion, looking way. I enjoyed like the kind of cheesiness of it at times. There were, the voice actors were good, but they weren't like, oh, this is like, Oscar level acting. But it was like, I loved it. I enjoyed every character. They very much like made me like and hate a lot of characters. I loved the mechanic of being able to tell Galerius like, hey, please do these things. That was so much stress off of like loop games. I generally don't like loop games because I hate doing the same thing over and over again. Like it's not fun. And this just totally took that out of it. I liked also that you get to keep your stuff. That was A+, the best. The storyline was cute. I really enjoyed the battles of wits that you could engage in. There was a lot of good like things that you could change, and then with the epilogue, you get to see the result of that. Like I never get that in games. It was just like so great. I really
rewarding.
enjoyed it. You never get that. And this was like it in spades. I don't know. It was like, this makes up for games that I haven't had an epilogue in. Gosh, it's really hard to give it a score because like the experience of it all together, absolutely a 10. But it's like, could it have been a better game with some more polish? Yeah. Gosh, I don't know.
Come on, Mox. Come on.
I give it like a 9.5.
9.5.
Just with the little like climbing things. That's it.
Austin.
Yeah. So, all of my, like, I've played some time loop games, and so I had the expectation going in. Once I had played a loop, it was just like, oh, geez. Right. And to have all those expectations just dashed, and surprise after surprise of just, okay, well, since you've encountered this before, you have a new dialogue option. And so now when you go down into this place that supposedly has a monster in it, you can just tell the guy, I know about your monster. You basically get new dialogue options to just cut past long things. And they respect your time in lots of ways. You're like, hey, what's your story? And they're like, my story's kind of long. Are you sure you want to hear it? You're like, no, actually I don't. Or
give me a summary.
Give me like the cut down version, like a summary. Yeah. Galerius is wonderful. Like my first time running into him, I was just like, oh, geez, this is gonna be the guy every time. And it was like, no, he's actually wonderful. He has one fatal flaw in that he wants to free Dooley, and he's kind of a moron for that. But that's okay.
Yeah,
his heart's in the right place, and
which when you free Dooley and the golden, and it, that's just so great. That whole experience. Yeah. So it was like. In other time loop games, I feel like every loop you do, you get more responsibility that you have to take on. And in this one, you just get more capable. Yeah.
You have less that you need to do each time, which is great. And the knowledge that you get feels rewarding because then you get new dialogue options to just surprise people and have these funny moments. And there were lots of very funny situational things that they put in. Like you could choose if you were a man or a woman, and they would have unique dialogue options for that. And you could pick like what your starting story was. And I thought you were just like making up your own story, and I didn't realize, oh, well, picking that means I have a gun. And I never used the gun, but I got lots of great dialogue options around having a gun. Golly. Yeah, there was a lot of really cool stuff in here. Anytime that I found a chest, like I found a chest that had 1,000 gold in it, and that my game was just made at that point. Anytime I would do a run, I would grab that. But like anytime I would find something like that, it was just like the first time I was like, okay, man, I got to find more because I'm sure this is going to be gone the next time I loop through, or my money's going to go away. No, you can keep the money and the chest refills every time. You don't.
It's
all
nice.
of all the concerns that you have and like things that would stress you out in a time loop game, this just handles really, really, really well. And of course, there's some jank around talking to people and animations and people running in odd ways while you're trying to have a cutscene. But all that, just to me, felt very authentically Oblivion and Skyrim, which is what this is based on. So it feels like it was intentional. And maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But it feels like it was. Or maybe that's just part of the challenge of designing a game where all the NPCs have like their own things that they need to do.
Yeah, their own
schedules to follow and stuff like that. And maybe that's just inherent to that thing. But it made it so authentically like what the original mod came from. And I just really liked that. Man, the start stressed me out a bit. I kind of ran out of like clues and directives of where to go, and I got a little stressed out by that. And then I got the bow, and the game, I was just like, I had such a wonderful time after that. I couldn't stop playing. Like anytime I had to stop playing, all I could do was think about playing that game more. It was just like, oh, I gotta go and do the thing, and
and then I gotta do this, like, and then I gotta make sure this happens. Yeah,
I wanted to go for all the, like, I got an ending, and then Mox was like, you gotta go for the true ending, and it was like, oh, do I? I don't know. Should I? And I'm so glad I did. That was that was just really wonderful. I would give this a 9 out of 10.
Ooh,
there's
really
some
aligned.
Small problems, and but they're pretty small, and it starts off a little bit like it keeps you from having a lot of these problems, but like the start, you're worried about the stuff, and on top of that, like until you really get the bow, there's a lot that's really not open to you. So this just little bits and pieces to keep it from being perfect for me. But oh my god, easy recommend to anybody who likes single player games.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. I also would give this a 9. The story was wonderful. The loop mechanic was really interesting. The thing I loved most, though, about this game is that every single character was significant in some way. There was no person that I would talk to and they didn't have something interesting going on about them, or somehow tied to the story, or could unlock something new, or give me some context on something. There was no fluff at all. Like every character,
it was super tightly woven.
Yeah, it was so great. There's a little jank here and there, and the pacing could have been a bit better in the beginning. Like if you would have got the bow a little bit sooner, but overall, like the game was just wonderful. And Mox, I knew that you were gonna love this game when I started playing it because of your background. And I don't know, it made me think a lot about morals and about religion, and it's kind of, not all games provoke that type of thought, so that was kind of nice. Yeah.
While also not really taking a deep stance on.
Yeah, there was no deep stance at all. It was there for you to interpret all of it, which was really great. So yeah,
and non-judgmental.
Yes. Well. Oh yeah, super non-judgmental. So 9. Man, we're like pretty much even across the board. I'm just gonna say this one more time. I'm gonna take off the spoiler tag. Actually, I'm gonna say this. I'm going to try to. There we go. If you have started playing this game, because I know it was on Game Pass at some point, if you started it, like I did, actually, I did this exact thing. If you started it and you were like, I don't know, this game's kind of not for me, please play until you get a significant item, and you will know what that item is when you get it. We've been talking about it in the episode if you want to go back and listen. Please play until you get that item, and then see how you feel about the game. And if you still don't like it, okay, it's not for you. But after that moment and after that sequence happens, I think that's when you'll know if it's for you or not. Don't judge this book by its cover. No, it's excellent. You'll love it. Yeah. A big recommendation from the Video Game Club crew.
Oh yeah. It's not often that we are all in agreement.
No, it's not.
Well, we are when games are awful sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true. So that was, a little dive in our take on The Forgotten City. And if you enjoyed hearing us discuss and want to join us for the next Video Game Club episode, stay put, because the vote just ended. And it was between Frogun, Goodbye World, and Melatonin, all nominations by me. And I think we're tied.
No, it was tied. I don't know what happened.
It was tied. It is no longer tied. We are going to be playing Frogun. Which, I'm really excited to play it. It looks really fun. Thank you everyone who voted and everyone who nominated a game for this episode. Thank you so much. The next episode will be June 11th at 2 Eastern. We might need to shift the time, Austin, because we will have to work that weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk with you, Mox, and see what that looks like. Mm-hmm. Austin, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Mox, thank you so much. And thank you for picking this from the nominations.
I'm so glad you guys played it.
Yeah.
The good pick.
Yeah, great pick. And thank you, Andron, for working behind the scenes. Andron, if you haven't played this game, please play it.
Let's play it.
I'm Tyler, and this was Video Game Club episode 71, The Forgotten City, and we're out.